one of the reasons I got fired was for daring to include one of your funny pictures. So
Which one? Which one was that? Which picture was it?
Oh, it was the. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Super Day
That's
with a
hilarious.
little bit of pubic hair coming over the panties. Let's touch on what comedy is and what memes are and
Mhm.
why you were so good at them. So I've got a couple of quotations here from a 17th, 18th century philosopher, Lord Shaftesbury. And I think his view of what comedy is actually works quite well for what you produce. He says that I'm sure the only way to save men's sense or to preserve wit at all in the world is to give liberty to wit. Truth may bear all lights. Nothing is ridiculous except what is deformed. And although people may be frighted out of their wits, they will never be laughed out of them. So he takes the view that true ideas will never be harmed by ridicule, but false ideas will be. And a lot of your
Mm.
work seems to be along those lines.
Yeah, totally. The key point in there, I agree with pretty much the whole thing, and I think the deformed part is really interesting because deformed today would be inverted, right? We would just look at what's inverted in the world, including the gender thing, whatever it is. A man is a woman is a man. Nothing's true. You're an elephant. It's absurdity that we're pointing to as comic creators, comedians, reporters. Now, I now recently take on the approach that in order to be a comedian or a satirical expressionist, all you have to do is be an honest reporter of reality, and you'll be have done the job because reality, the external world is at least in its highlighted points is absurd. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of really points to what we're all dealing with and why memes and comics and comedy and commentary is so important because you're really just shedding light. We're like, we hold flashlights basically, and we point to, we just highlight what's being presented as the case. And we don't have to work very hard to demonstrate its absurdity.
Yeah, the main effect that I get from looking at the way your memes are structured and the way the punchline is often set up by exactly what you described there, just shining a flashlight, reminds me again of this view that humans are built to appreciate order and harmony. And what you often do in your work is point to what is missing, where something doesn't connect properly, where it's incoherent.
Mm-hmm.
And it can get across through that method, I think, more effectively than it can through formal argumentation or an essay form or a lecture. You've got this great ability to condense it into sometimes just 2 slides.
Yeah, that part is because, and I think what's key to that is you could either argue within a paradigm and argue back and forth facts and logic. You take the Ben Shapiro approach, the academia approach, or you attack the paradigm itself. And so that's why if you attack paradigms and show the absurdity, or let's say the logical conclusion of a said position, you can condense it really quickly and the point will get across because it's actually attacking a paradigm, a bigger scale worldview, a starting assumption, let's say. And so a lot of people get hooked into not ridiculing starting assumptions rather participating in this back and forth sort of facts on facts ping pong game. Let's look at the stats. Let's look at the stats. Let's look at the essay. Well, this study said that. Well, this study. And not only am I not interested in that, but I think it's not even effective because you're always going to be interpreting the data or the study through your paradigm lens. So you'll always dismiss or accept something based on the lens that you're already wearing. So attacking the lens, or at least questioning the lens, is really the work, I think, the proper work of a comedian. And that's what a premise is. In the stand-up culture, you go on stage and you go, hey, how about airports, whatever, even if you go hacky with it, you're still starting with, well, let's all get into the same premise here, and then we can make jokes And I think in comedy, especially, I've done very small amount of stand-up comedy, and it's enjoyable, but it's just not I don't want to spend time in bars and stuff. But what I did notice is that the current sort of cancel culture, to some extent, I call it premicide, because it's not that people are being forced to not say jokes. It's really, if you look closer, it's that they're trying to control the premise of the joke, not the joke itself. You can't say that premise. It's like something true about, let's say, trans issues, or something true about race, or something true about generalizing people based on their culture. And that's a premise. And a comedian, a good comedian, can't survive without being permitted at least to say a premise and check in whether it's a true premise or not.
Yeah, I think that is also why your work gets taken off social media sometimes, why it's offensive to people who don't like seeing the conclusions of the premises they accept revealed.
Totally.
A lot of it has the reductio ad absurdum, which is what makes it hard hitting. But that is what's required now, because that ping pong you describe, the second you step up to that table, you have dignified the game. And there's a weakness in that. I think there's actually a submission to it.